Thanh Hương xin kính chào quý vị. Kính thưa quý vị, vào ngày 27 tây tháng 10 sắp đến đây, tại thành phố Mississauga sẽ có một cuộc tổng bầu cử để bầu ra chức vụ thị trưởng mới và các nghị viên thành phố. Thì bên cạnh Thanh Hương đây là ông Ron Starr. He's going to be running for councillor for Ward 6. Thank you and welcome to our show.
Well, thank you.
Ron, can you please tell us more about Ward 6? Where is the boundary and what's the population for the Ward 6?
Ward 6 runs on the west side, the Credit River, and the east side, Mavis, and the bottom is Dundas, and the top is Britannia. So it's very linear, very, very regular. We have a population of roughly 80,000 people, and it's very multicultural. We have over half are a different background than originally Canadian, and more than half have been born outside of the country. And we speak, the last survey we did, we speak 47 languages in Ward 6. So it's a very, very diverse community.
Vâng, thưa quý vị, thì chúng ta biết là Ward 6 ngay trung tâm của thành phố Mississauga thì có rất nhiều các business của người Hoa và người Việt, nhất là cộng đồng người Việt Nam tại thành phố Mississauga thì rất là đông. We know that in the past you have helped the Vietnamese community to push for the signage
Yes.
Đà Nẵng, Vietnam, and Saigon. That's been over a year now. Do you have any idea when that will be implemented?
That's a very good question, and what we were trying to do is get all the signs together over a shorter period of time. And what we decided to do with Ken and myself and the city staff is to say, rather than having one sign at 1 month and then another one down the road and another one perhaps a year later, we'll trying to put them as close together as possible in the same community. And so we're hoping that in the next few months that's possible, and we'll certainly keep the community advised of that.
Vâng, thưa quý vị, thì chúng ta thấy là when we elect for you, you know, obviously you'll be acting on behalf of our interests.
Yes.
Thì nếu mà cộng đồng chúng ta cần những sự giúp đỡ của ông Ron thì chúng ta nên dùng lá phiếu của chúng ta để đi bầu cử, vote for Ron, để chúng ta có những cái mối quan hệ để sau này nếu mà chúng ta cần tiếng nói của chúng ta được nghe, được cộng đồng thành phố nghe thì chúng ta nên dùng phiếu bầu cử chúng ta vào ngày 27 tháng 10 là October 27.
Yes.
So why do you decide to run for a city council, for a councillor?
Well, I have a very diverse business background, and to me, I think by sharing my background and being an engineer, professional engineer, and also as a professional land economist, I think I had certain skills that could be used at city council. And with these skills, I can provide a better base for all of our residents. And I thought, well, I'll share this. I've always been involved in the community, been involved with many, many of the fundraisers. Matter of fact, I was vice chairman of the Credit Valley Hospital and the president of the Mississauga Board of Trade. I was on Hazel McCallion's golf tournament, on her gala, and many, many other charitable events. And I thought, well, if I can combine all of this and give back to my community, I want to do that. And I think that's what you need. You need people who have dedication and you have the skills and background to provide, I think, a real base for all the taxpayers.
What are your top priorities if you're elected as councillor?
My key priorities are transportation. Transportation, getting rid of the gridlock, getting rid of congestion, and having the ability to get around our city. It's very important to be able to get home in a reasonable time. People are spending now 1.5 hours each way traveling. We've got to get a seamless system throughout the whole GTA. It's very, very important to be able to do that. We're going to have to spend money. We're going to have to work with other levels of government, and I intend to do that. Another key priority, of course, is keeping taxes at a reasonable rate. Taxes are one of these things that nobody likes to pay, but at the same time, if it's reasonable, people will understand that that's something we have to live with. I pledge that we will have no tax increase beyond the rate of inflation. So to me, that is something reasonable, something we can live with, and at the same time accomplish all the things that we want to do. There's other priorities that we have. I also feel that we should have a safe city. We're very, very fortunate. Mississauga is one of the safest cities in all of North America. We've had that title for 11 years. I intend to make sure that it stays safe, that we have the proper policing, the proper fire prevention, all the services necessary to make sure that we have a good city for families. Very important to me.
You mentioned about getting rid of gridlock and transportation. Do you think a subway line is possible in the future?
In Mississauga, I'm sure that's not going to happen simply because of the cost. When we compare it to above rail and the bus rapid transits and other forms of transportation, the money is just not there. So we've got to face up to the fact that in this area, we probably won't see subways unless there's a massive amount of money that comes from the federal government and the provincial government. But that's something that we'll have to investigate and see if we can work with them and see if we can do something. But at this point, I would think we should work in other systems.
So how do you plan to get rid of the gridlock?
By better transportation systems, by getting people out of their cars. When people see that they can get to their destinations at almost the same time, and where they can get onto a GO train or a bus and read and do other work and work their iPads, and they see that they can do that in roughly the same time, they'll get out of their cars. They'll park the car and use the public transportation. That's my goal, is to at least get another 20-30% of people out of their cars to alleviate the type of congestion we see in all of our roads right now.
Do you have any tax incentive for small businesses?
Tax incentives is something that comes from the provincial and the federal governments. Yes, that's a very good question. I would intend to work with those levels of government to make sure that we explore every avenue. Small businesses are the heartbeat, I think, of any community. There are more small businesses started every day, every week than large businesses. So I think we have to provide the incentive and the ability for them to grow.
How do you envision the city 10, 20 years from now on?
I envision the city as a very diverse, strong city with recreation facilities for all the people. We have to provide for the young people and the seniors. Our senior population is growing. It's my goal to make sure that we have a lot more facilities for seniors. And by doing this, we have a city that's vibrant. We have a city that we have a wow factor that people say, I wish I was living in Mississauga. To me, if we ever get to that stage and with a vibrant downtown core, I think I would be very, very happy. And that's the way I see a city 20 years from now, that we look back and say, wow, we did a good job.
Coming back in focus with the Vietnamese community, do you
Yes.
have any program specifically for the seniors or the youth living in Mississauga in place or planning?
Well, what we do is we meet with staff and we also meet with the various communities. And so with the Vietnamese community, we would meet with them and say, okay, what is outstanding? What do you think we should be doing? And it's kind of like a town hall meeting where we get your input. And by getting that input, then we can provide programs, we can provide facilities and the necessary dollars to make sure that we can get the best program possible. But it needs input. We don't have all that information. We have to get it from the residents. And they tell us what we'd like to, come up with.
Vâng, thưa quý vị, vừa nghe ông Ron nói là một cộng đồng thì chúng ta cần có tiếng nói để chúng ta biết những cái quyền lợi chúng ta hoặc là những cái chương trình nào mà chúng ta muốn thấy có trong cộng đồng chúng ta, thì chúng ta nên gặp ông Ron, communicating and cho ông biết là chúng ta cần gì, những nhu cầu của cộng đồng chúng ta. Ron, are you aware of the Black April 30th?
Yes. And I think that's another goal of mine, is that maybe we don't have flag raisings and we don't have recognition of enough of these type of events. And this is something that come January, after the elections, and what we can do, what I'd like to do is what we as a community and the council can do to recognize these sort of events. And so that's one of my pledges, that at least we'll look into it and get back to you.
Thưa quý vị, thì ngày 30 tháng 4 là ngày Quốc hận, thì khi mà chúng ta nói chuyện thì chúng ta có thể trao đổi những cảm nghĩ chúng ta và những cái điều mà chúng ta quan tâm đến với ông Ron hay là những counselor trong khu vực của chúng ta đang sinh sống. Thì ngày 27 tháng 10 sắp đến đây, October 27, come out and vote, và hy vọng là ông Ron đây là một trong những ứng cử viên mà chúng ta có thể dùng lá phiếu chúng ta để mà giúp ông ứng cử, đắc cử vào chức vụ counselor. Ron, in the future, how do you see the Vietnamese community contributing to the larger Mississauga?
Well, I think by integrating, and every community, no matter what the cultural background is, I think it's very, very important to maintain the traditions, but at the same time, I think it's important to integrate, to be what we call the Canadian culture, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we retain that ability to recognize the culture, the traditions, the dancing, the children's programs. It's very important that we don't lose sight of that. Too often we say, well, we want to be totally somebody different. No, I think we're a very large mosaic here in Mississauga, and to me, we've got to work together. It's communication, working together. How do we even have events at public forums like the Celebration Square we have? That should be used. It's taxpayer-paid event place. Let's use it that way. Let's work with the various communities. I think the Vietnamese community is a very, very vibrant one, and there are many here, by the way, in Mississauga, and I intend to make sure that we evaluate whatever they'd like to do. I mean, it's up to them. Communicate with me, I'll communicate back.
Thank you. And do you have any last words, or how can people come out to vote for you?
Well, basically, I think a lot of people recognize that our mayor, Hazel McCallion, did a great job for us for the last 36 years. I intend to keep on with that legacy. I think by working with her past vision and coming up with new ideas and making sure that people recognize that we do have a great city, and it was because of our past leadership, especially under Madam Mayor Hazel McCallion. I intend to be one of those people that make sure that we continue on with that and have the best city in North America.
Thank you and good luck. Và thưa quý vị, một lần nữa, ngày bầu cử là ngày 27 tây tháng 10 sắp đến đây. Thì chúng tôi hy vọng là tất cả những quý vị nào đang sinh sống tại vùng Mississauga thì chúng ta nên ra bầu cử và dùng lá phiếu chúng ta để giúp cho cộng đồng người Việt chúng ta thành phố Mississauga ngày càng lớn mạnh. Xin cảm ơn quý vị đã theo dõi chương trình.